Hello students, welcome to our lecture 4th on fundamentals of machine learning where we are covering some aspects of linear algebra. So far we have looked into definition of vector spaces and vector subspaces. We also looked into some specific example of linear dependence when we say that certain vectors are linearly dependent or non-dependent. And now we will move ahead into our discussions where we will try to understand the concept of bases and spans. To understand bases, we need to understand what this word span means, and once we understand span, basis as well as rank, we would move one step closer to dimensionality reduction. Now, from where we should start? So let us look into example where we left last time. That is, we defined a vector space V where there is a set with two operations allowed. That is, addition of a vector to vector will produce a vector, multiplication represented by dot by of a vector by a scalar would also produce in a vector in the same n dimensional vector space. Now let us consider there is another set of vectors A which are represented by x1, x2, x3 and so on. And let us say this is all the way till xk, and they all belongs to this particular vector space V. Now we say that if all the vectors, this is important, all the vectors present in the space V belonging to capital V. Let us say that there is any vector denoted by small v which is part of our n dimensional vector space. If it can be represented as linear combination of various vectors that we have in A, we say that the collection of such vectors is span of the vector space. For example, let us consider that we have three vectors 0, 1, 1, 0 and some other 3, 0. And now you can clearly see that if I have any vector, let us say 5, 5, 1, I can write this as 1 times 0, 1 plus 1, 0 plus 3, 0. Hence, taking these three vectors, I can always construct, in fact, I should multiply this by 2 so that this 3 plus 2 becomes 5, and here 1 times 1 becomes 1. So I can clearly say that using these three vectors, you take any number here. Instead of 5 or 1, take any number. You can construct any vector that is lying into two-dimensional vector space, and hence this three vectors, which we would say A, represents the span of two-dimensional vector space in real world or R square. However, you clearly see that there is some redundancy here because 3, 0 is just a linear combination, or it can be derived as 3 times 1, 0. Hence, there is a problem. So, we need to define something specific, what we call as the minimal. Now, minimal set is that small subset of A if there exists no linear dependency across the columns. If there is no linear dependence across the columns and we can still obtain any vector in given n-dimensional vector space, we call such minimal as the basis. Now it is very much clear here by intuition that this 3, 0 is same as 1, 0 if you multiply it by 3. Hence, if we have to reduce a span to basis, we only take the independent components, which in this case would be 0, 1 and 1, 0. Also, another important thing is that whenever we talk about the basis, we always talk about the ordered sets. That means order or position of these two vectors within this set A would matter if we are talking about the basis. And typically we denote this basis by letter B, or in some cases simple capital B, where we want to represent whether order matters or order does not matter. However, whenever we are going to talk about basis, we are always accounting for the order, because if we do not account for the order, that would mean that 3 comma 2 may create confusion that how we can generate 3 2. Should we multiply first vector by 2 or second vector by 3 and so on, and that's why order matters. Now for example, let us talk about R cube, which is three-dimensional vector space. The two bases that we can find, first basis could be B1 could be 1 0 0 0 1 0 and 0 0 1. You see that these bases we have always seen in the form of Cartesian coordinate systems, and these bases are also called as standard or canonical basis. So unless specified, we are always trained to think in these Cartesian coordinates, but we never thought about that all the vectors are represented with respect to this particular basis, and hence we call this as either standard, canonical or Cartesian coordinate system if we go by our high school understanding. But there could be other vectors. For example, consider the set of these three vectors which are represented by 0 0.5, 0 0.8, 0 0.4, 1.8, 0 0.3, 0 0.3 and minus 2.2, minus 1.3 and 3.5. So that would mean that these in fact are also representing bases in R3, and you can construct any vector in R3 as linear combination of 1, 2 and 3. We will use this particular result that given the n-dimensional vector space can be represented by different bases, and that will help us in rotation or changing bases when we go to the dimensionality reduction, where we will look for the alternate basis where we can transform and still capture the variance that is present in the data. And we will specifically use linear transformation, which would be subject of our next lecture. Now if this is clear, let us talk something more interesting. That is, let us say that we are given a span and we want to determine the basis. So how we should do that? Let us say that we take a specific example where we know that x1, x2, x3 and x4, they belong to a 5-dimensional vector space, and their values are 1, 2, minus 1, minus 1, minus 1. Similarly, x2 is 2, minus 1, 1, 2, minus 2. x3 is 3, minus 4, 3, 5, minus 3. Similarly, x4 is minus 1, 8, minus 5, minus 6 and 1. And you can see that all of them are part of the same 5-dimensional vector space. Now if we have to we have to go from span to basis. So again we will take the help of row echelon form, use some elementary transformation on the matrices, and we will identify which of the following columns are pivot columns, which of the columns are non-pivot columns, and all the pivot columns in our reduced row echelon form will constitute the basis derived from the span. Now in this example, so let us look into this specific case. What we will do, we will put all these numbers in form of a matrix. So I will just quickly do it. Minus 4, 8, minus 1, 1, 3, minus 5 and so on. Now once we obtain this matrix, we will apply some row transformation. So first row transformation, so the idea is that we have to convert into staircase form and make sure that the first non-zero element in each row is equal to 1. So the first transformation I'm going to use is R2 equal to R2 minus 2R1, and after applying this transformation I can write this matrix as, so here I also applied the second transformation. First of all, R2 equal to R2 minus 2R1 and R3 equal to R3 plus R1, and hence I end up with zeros. Similarly, I can apply the next transformation, which would be R3 to R3 minus 3 times R2. You can treat this as a revision of basic algebra, and I'm not doing anything special here, but it's good to solve a few examples by hand so concept becomes absolutely clear. Now we can divide this R3 by 12. Finally, we can say that R4 as R4 plus R1. And finally, we will do R4 as R4 minus 4R2. Then again, we will transform this newly obtained R4 as R3, and R5 can be written as R5 plus R1. Make sure we apply this first, and this transformation is applied on the new R4 that we obtain, and after these calculations we obtain our final matrix as. Now next task is to identify which of the following are pivot rows and pivot columns. So if you look here, this is our, of course, pivot row, first element non-zero equal to 1, and we select this and say that this is our first pivot column. Now we move here, this is our pivot row as 1 is there, and we say that this is our pivot column. Finally, this is our pivot row, and the 1 corresponds to, or the pivot element corresponds to the last column, and hence this column would be our pivot column. So if we say that this is x1, x2 and x5, now we can confidently say that if x1 through x5 were span, we have reduced them into independent form by using elementary transformation or Gaussian elimination, and hence we can say that basis of this particular vector space can be written as x1, x2, and in fact this would be x4, not x5, and x4. So if we are given, similarly if we are given span of a given subspace, we already talked about subspaces which are contained within the vector spaces, we can apply similar analogy here and also construct the vector, also construct the span and basis of vector subspaces. Now this brings us to an important concept of ranks. Now we have learnt ranks in our high school or in our secondary schools in very theoretical way, but now when we talk about the ranks also help us understand the span and basis or image and ranges in a better way. So we will introduce what this image or range means, but first of all let us again revise the theoretical definition of rank, and we say that the number of independent rows of given matrix, let us say our given matrix is A of dimensional m cross n, the number of independent rows of given matrix equals number of independent columns, and we call this particular number as rank of matrix A. In the example that we just considered before, if A is our big matrix, let us forget whether it's a span or it's a basis, but if A is a matrix, you clearly see that although we can see here there are 5 rows and 4 columns, out of that only 3 are independent, where we identified our pivot elements, and hence we say that rank of A in this case is equal to 3. Now what is the use of a rank? Now rank would help us determine what is going to be the dimensions of given vector space or dimension of given vector subspace. Now when we talk about dimensions, we have talked about an n dimensional vector field. here when we talk in the context of machine learning, dimensions of vector space is equal to number of column numbers in the basis of given vector space or vector subspace. So for example, again going to the matrix that we just solved, we saw that it belonged to R5. However, we only need 3 columns to completely determine each and every vector contained in the subspace which is spanned by these 4 columns. Hence, we say that dimensions of U in previous case is equal to 3. So this also gives us an interesting point whenever we are talking about A, which is spanning a subspace. As we saw in previous case, it was spanning a 5-dimensional vector space. The dimension of U would be same as rank of A, and we will later call this subspace as image or range. We will come back to this, that what this image or range would mean. Similarly, there is another important use of this rank. So for example, if we have a vector A, which is a square matrix n cross n. So we say that if rank of A is equal to n, then our square matrix is a full rank matrix. However, if rank of A, which is often denoted by Rk of A, is less than n, we say that our matrix is rank deficient. And our matrix is invertible if and only if it is a full rank matrix, because if there are multiple rows or multiple columns that are dependent on each other, that always means that we can reduce one of the rows to 0 or one of the columns to 0, and hence if we take the determinant about that particular row, answer is going to be 0. And we know that we can only invert a matrix if its determinant is not equal to 0, and hence rank also gives us an interesting point how we can evaluate whether a particular matrix is invertible or it is non-invertible. Secondly, in the case of square matrix, so for example, if we are talking about a matrix which is of dimension m cross n, where m is smaller than n, so that could be an example of a 2 cross 3 matrix. In that case, rank or full rank would be minimum of 2 and 3, which in this case is equal to 2. That would mean that rank can never exceed the smaller dimension that is contained in size of the matrix. Now with these results, let us look into one specific example, that how we can determine rank of a very simple matrix A, which is given by 1 0 1 0 1 1 and 0 0 0. Again, this is already in our row echelon form, reduced row echelon form. This is our pivot row and hence pivot column. This is our pivot row and hence pivot column. There are 2 columns which we identified as a pivot column. Third one is not a pivot column, and hence the rank of this particular matrix is equal to 2. And it is very clear that we can derive any other row, any other column using first 2 columns, and we have already seen that these also look like the standard basis in our case, and hence rank here is equal to 2. Also, if we say that if A is spanning certain subspace, then dimensionality of that subspace U is also equal to 2, which is same as rank of the matrix. For other example where things are not as trivial, let us consider another example. In this case, A is 1 2 1, minus 2, minus 3 1, 3 5 0. We will again apply some series of operations, what we call as Gaussian elimination, and reduce into reduced row echelon form. So after applying certain transformations, which I leave up to you how you do that, you come up with the form of 1 2 1 0 1 3 0 0 0. Again, we identify that this is our pivot column, and hence the rank in this case is again equal to 2.